Welcome to Wine Time Mysteries, where we talk about true crime, the paranormal, mysteries, and cryptozoology with a dash of comedy. This podcast contains adult themes and is intended for mature audiences only. Don't forget to click follow and tickle that little notification bell. Now, find a comfy spot. We're about to start today's episode. And welcome back to Randy Kraft Part 2.
I'm so excited.
I thought you would be. You've been messaging me non-stop, being like, oh my god, can we hurry up and record this? I really want to hear what happens next.
I can't wait to find out.
Yeah, you're a liar. You hated the last one. You're going to hate this one just as much. If you haven't heard part 1 already, please go back and listen to it so you get the full picture. In the nature of full transparency, I am changing how I do this episode a little bit because last time I did every murder that was listed in various articles, but he was listed as like maybe connected to the murder and not convicted. So I went through the actual court transcript and I've decided moving forward I'm only going to address the ones that he has actually been convicted of because they have a proper description of what actually took place during those murders. Thank you, Supreme Court. We start back in 1976.
Great.
This is where our story kicks back off. Well, during this time, Randy Kraft is now 31. He's like your age.
I'm 32 this year, thank you very much.
But what are you right now?
Shut up.
Treat me like I'm wrong, but I'm 100% correct. It's fine. He ends his relationship with his boyfriend. You know how last time we were talking about he got into his first ever homosexual relationship?
Yeah.
Well, he left that one, and now he finds a 19-year-old that he wants to start dating. Legal, yeah, but gross. So
It's a baby.
it is, no.
Intellectually, baby.
Just don't do it. His new boyfriend's name is Jeff Seelig. While they were considered to be in a permanent relationship, monogamy, however, was not really something that they really wanted, to be honest. They ended up moving to Laguna Hills, and they would actively pick up hitchhikers together and then ask them if they wanted to come back to their place for a three-way. Random hitchhikers.
Yeah, not what I was expecting.
Yeah,
Okay.
It's really strange. So they would proposition them, and then if they said yes, they'll go back and have some fun. Jeff swore black and blue that Randy was never violent towards him, and he never ever saw any acts of violence toward other people while they were together. The relationship between Randy and Jeff is believed to be the reason that murders slow down for a hot minute.
Interesting.
But that doesn't mean that murders stopped. They just weren't as frequent.
Yeah, like he was towards the end of part 1.
Oh yeah, he went crazy, but he goes crazy again, so that's not an indication of what is to come.
Bloody Randy.
I know. April 16th, 1978, Randy fuck.
Randy fuck.
April 16th, 1978, Randy abducted a Marine named Scott Hughes. Now, men, cup your nuts. Because Randy plied Scott with Valium, which seemed to be very common in a lot of these crimes that he committed. But he did this before he slit open his scrotum, removed one of his testicles, and strangled him to death before discarding his body. This time, the victim was fully dressed and was only missing his shoelaces. He was found beside the freeway on-ramp in Anaheim.
If I had balls, they
would have sucked back up into your body. June 11th of the same year, 23-year-old Roland Young was found near the San Diego freeway. The cause of death was determined to be blood loss following 4 stab wounds to the chest, all of which entered the heart. At or near the time of death, a sharp knife had been used to cut his scrotal sac and remove one testicle and some skin from his penis. Yeah.
He wasn't doing dick shit before, was he? I know he was doing bad shit, but he didn't do this before?
Mark Hall, the last one we ended on, he cut the guy's dick off and shoved it in his bum.
Oh, fuck yeah, okay.
He was doing dick shit.
Okay, sorry.
In every which way.
I didn't black that out.
I think you may have. Turns out there were also lacerations over his left eyebrow and an eyelid, which they say occurred after death. Roland was thrown from a moving vehicle at high speed. But I think he was dead. June 19th, so he's busy in June and July. The body of a 20-year-old Marine, Richard Keith, was found beside a road in Moulton Parkway. He had last been seen alive by his girlfriend in Carson. The body had been pushed out of a moving vehicle. The cause of death was ligature strangulation. I did remove the word ligature from a lot of the earlier episodes in part 1 because I didn't want to have to explain what that was.
You didn't, Ashley.
No, it was also because I wasn't entirely sure because I didn't actually research it. Now I do know what it is. So ligature strangulation is as if someone used a thinner item or a prop to strangle someone with.
Yeah.
So you'll have belts or shoelaces or jug cords, heaven forbid, many different things. So there was an item that was used to do that. Keith's blood alcohol level at the time was 0.07%, and diazepam and flurazepam, which is a drug basically similar to diazepam, were present in his system in amounts sufficient to have rendered him very, very sleepy. So, at least up until this point, Randy is not strong enough to just take someone on one-on-one. He will get them drunk. He will get them to a relatively either calm or comatose state before he will then do something when he has the upper hand. Which is quite...
Little bitch way out.
Yeah, it's not cool. July 6th, 23-year-old Keith Klingbeil was found discarded beside the Interstate 5 freeway. Now, his body was warm to the touch when police arrived, so they say that death probably occurred within a half hour of finding the body, so it was so close. I remember, I actually sighed when I was writing this down. I was they were so close to saving him that it was just really sad. His body was clothed and he was wearing boots, but the boots were missing a left shoelace. The cause of death was determined to be acetaminophen overdose with ligature strangulation, which was a contributing factor. On the right side of his neck were ligature lines about 3/4 of an inch apart. There were road burns all over his body, consistent with being ejected from a moving vehicle. Around the time of his death, he had also been burned with a cigarette lighter on his left nipple.
Ugh. I fucking hate those.
Because I've burnt myself on the finger once with those. When I was a kid.
Yeah, you did the whole little...
Yeah, because ooh, it's red. Psst, ow, why does that hurt? We're done. Here's why it hurts, you little idiot. November 18th, 1978, 21-year-old Michael Inderbeaton's body was found, dressed only in a pair of pants which were pulled down, partially exposing his bottom. His eyes and nipple had been burnt with a cigarette lighter. His scrotum and testicles had been removed, as well as some skin from his penis. The removal of the testicles probably occurred while he was still alive. There was no evidence of injury to the rectum, but his anus appeared to be slightly dilated. You know what that means, right? Anyway. Oh, you don't? Oh, so...
I don't like butt stuff. I don't know.
I'm gay and I don't like butt stuff. So dilation is you know how your pupils will dilate in the dark and then they close?
Because I just would have thought when you're dead, it would have because it's relaxed anyway, that it would be a...
No, what they are suggesting is that there was a break and enter. Someone entered that thing. So there was signs of sodomy.
It's interesting how you can tell that, hey? Especially after a body.
Yeah. Listen, I'm of the belief you can tell if someone has had an object in the rectum. The rectum is never the same. Not necessarily that, but it just looks puckered. There's an issue with the bum after it's had a visitor. Yeah. I reckon. Yeah. Anyway, let's get back on track. Later, swabs revealed there was the presence of blood type B, spermatozoa, and semen, which could have come from either a person with B blood or a non-secretor. Michael had type B blood and was a secretor. The defendant was a non-secretor. I see how you're looking at me, and I have a little lesson in here for everyone so that they know what that is.
Thank you.
Because I didn't know what it was either. I was like, a secretor and a non-secretor? What is this? A person is said to be a secretor if he or she secretes their blood type antigens into their body fluids like saliva and the mucus. Whereas, on the other hand, a non-secretor does not put, or if at all, very little of their blood type antigens into their fluids. So
It's crazy.
that was one way they could do it. June 16th of 1979, Marine Donald Crusoe, his body was found along the Irvine Center on-ramp to the northbound San Diego Freeway in Irvine. He was wearing only undershorts on which there were tire tracks, apparently, so it appears he may have been run over as well. The body evidently had been pushed from a moving vehicle as it bore road burns. The cause of death was confirmed to be multiple drug overdoses. There were also signs of strangulation, and his left nipple had been burned by a car cigarette lighter post-mortem. So they waited for him to die before they singed the nip this time. It just doesn't make sense.
I don't like when, like, I know we're talking about murder, but it's bad enough when bad shit has happened, but when they humiliate the body as well, like with the pants pulled down and shit like that. It's like, you've already done enough bad shit. Do you really have to...
July 17th of that same year, 17-year-old Michael O'Fallon's body was found at the Talbot Road interchange with Interstate 5, 10 miles south of Salem, which is a place that I really want to go one day. And maybe not that exact location, but to Salem.
You said 17.
Yeah. There were no clothes or identification with the body. The cause of death was strangulation. His wrists had been bound by a red shoelace. His ankles were bound by a different shoelace. There was also a third shoelace connecting his wrists and ankle to his scrotum. Blood and fecal material were visible from a laceration to the anus.
I don't like it.
So when they say a laceration to the anus, it makes me think that, and forgive me, like if I'm wrong, I hope I'm wrong, but the way I interpret that is that maybe there was a knife inserted into his rectum.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised, given what he already does.
Yeah.
That's disgusting.
September 3rd, 19-year-old Marine Robert Logan's body was discovered in a trash bag tied in the fetal position with a rope around his ankles and wrists, and with his feet tied near the head. A sheet of clear plastic was wrapped over the body and tied at the neck. He was completely nude with a sock found near his rectum. Alcohol and drug overdose were ruled the cause of death, which is funny because it's not like he tied himself and disposed of himself in a plastic bag.
Yeah.
So that made no sense. Photos of Robert were found in Randy's car and in a briefcase in his house. The photos showed the victim in different sexual positions, but his eyes were closed the whole time, so they didn't actually know if he was willing, if he was unconscious, or if he were dead at the time of the photo shoot.
I was going to say Randy seems the type to have some photo trophies.
And he does.
Piece of shit.
Yeah. April 10th, 1981. 17-year-old Michael Cluck was found in a ditch beside Interstate 5 freeway near Goshen, Oregon. When he was found, the body was still warm to the touch. The body was nude from the waist down. There was considerable blood in the facial area and blood smears on the exposed portions of his body. His head had been caved in from violent blows.
Nope.
Which was kind of, I didn't see that. Now listen, you'll be proud of me. I'm disappointed in myself. I saw photos of...
Who are you?
Not of the mushed ones, but there were like post-mortem photos taken where you do see people's faces and stuff, and I did look at those, but I did not delve too deep into that because I was like, this is not something I'm comfortable with. There were also signs of major blood loss from the rectum. They believe they also found a laceration. A shaving kit with Michael's name engraved on it was found at Randy's house. So again, another thing connecting him. Again, another trophy that you keep from people. November 10th, 1982, a body later identified as Brian Witcher was found south of Wilsonville, Oregon, which runs parallel to Interstate 5. There was no belt on his pants and his feet were bare. The body had been thrown from a moving vehicle. The cause of death was asphyxiation. He also had alcohol and diazepam in his system. December 9th, the bodies of Dennis Alt and Christopher Schoenborn were found 5 feet from a road in a vacant field about 4 miles from the Alt farm and about 9 miles from the Amway Grand Plaza Hotel. Alt's pants were unbuttoned and his genitals were exposed. He was wearing socks but no shoes. His death was a result of asphyxiation by choking. Like Alt, Schoenborn had been choked to death. A pen with the insignia of the Amway Grand Plaza Hotel had been inserted in Schoenborn's urethra into the soft tissue of the pelvis, causing extensive hemorrhaging. Both had alcohol and diazepam in the systems. They were both farmers, and I believe they were attending a seminar independent of each other, both of which attended the Tootsie Van Kelly's bar, probably the location that Randy actually met them. So they didn't even know each other.
Yeah.
December 9th, 1982, Lance Tagg's body was found several feet off a road a half-mile east of Interstate 5 between Wilsonville and Canby in Oregon, less than a quarter mile from the location Brian Witcher's body had been found. The cause of death was asphyxiation with the obstruction to the airway by a foreign object. An orange sock had been stuffed down his throat. The waistband of the swimming trunks he was wearing were unsnapped, and it appeared that he'd been redressed. Again, there was alcohol and diazepam in his system. December 18th, 1982, Anthony Salvator's body was found off Boone's Ferry Road near Interstate 5 west of Hubbard, Oregon. There was no clothing on the body. Putrefaction showed that he had been there for a while and that he had also been nibbled on by animals. The death was caused by strangulation with ligature marks, consistent with a bout visible at the autopsy. A toothbrush was removed from his anus at the autopsy, and his rectum also was dilated with spermatozoa and blood found therein. Alcohol and diazepam were also in his system. January 27th, 1983, Eric Church's body was found off the shoulder of the on-ramp to the northbound 605 freeway and 7th Street in Long Beach. The body was clothed and wore burgundy-colored socks, but no shoes. The cause of death was asphyxia due to strangulation. Marks on his wrist indicated that he had been bound. Alcohol and diazepam were found in his system. February 13th, that same year, Roger Duvall Jr.'s body was found lying off the road down a hillside near Glendora Ridge and Mount Baldy Road. His pants were unbuttoned and partially pulled down. It was noticed that the fine sand on the soles of Duvall's shoes, legs, and around his penis did not match the sand in the area. Cause of death was asphyxia due to neck compression. So this time it's not like he used a ligature, it's like someone maybe like kneeled down on his neck. That's an escalation. Anal swabs were taken from Duvall at the autopsy, and it revealed the presence of semen that could not be typed. Just like Robert Logan's, photos were also found and negatives later developed depicting the victim in sexual positions. February 13th, 1983. You'll notice that that is the same date as the previous victim, Roger Duvall. Jeffrey Nelson's nude body was found on the Euclid Street on-ramp to the Garden Grove Freeway in the city of Garden Grove. A friend, I think, saw the two together outside of his house. Jeffrey was wearing Roger's jacket. This was like 3 days prior to the discovery of their bodies. Apparently, it was an off-duty police officer who found the body who believes he saw Jeffrey's foot move slightly. So he rushed to like a phone to call it in. So he was potentially alive when he was seen. But by the time they got to him, they couldn't detect a pulse, but his body was still warm to the touch. It was concluded that he had died as a result of strangulation. There were ligature marks on his neck consistent with a belt buckle. His right wrist also bore a ligature mark. His penis and scrotum had been cut off. Some type of sharp-edged instrument was used, but they just don't know what it was. They think he was already deceased before this had happened because there wasn't a lot of blood at the site. Alcohol and diazepam were found in his system.
Is it bad where I'm like, where is he putting these penises and balls? You know what I mean? Like, is he just like...
I don't think it's bad to think that.
Like,
I think that's natural. Well, because at no point during this thing did I see that they found a jar of penises or a freezer full of penises or anything like that. So,
but like, you're making the statement of it, but are you then throwing it somewhere, you know what I mean? Like somewhere completely different or
is
not
he
far?
Eating it? But is he?
Well, wouldn't be fucking surprised.
Is he doing it and then feeding it to animals? Like, we don't know what he's doing. And that's part of the problem. May 14th, 1983, Sergeant Michael Howard and Officer Michael Sterling at the California Highway Patrol were on a patrol when they saw a car weaving in its lane. They stopped the car and arrested one Randy Kraft for failing a field sobriety test. They noticed, however, that there was somebody reclined in the passenger's seat. This would be 25-year-old Terry Gambrell. And they asked if the car could be released to him upon Randy's arrest. But Randy was like,
I don't want to do that because this is a hitchhiker. That's a hitchhiker in my car. I'm not going to give him my car. What the fuck? What the fuck?
Oh my god.
Oh my god, that's my fucking car.
No. Sergeant Howard shined a torch to check the position of the passenger's hands, because obviously for their own safety they need to make sure they don't have a gun or they don't have a weapon of any kind. The passenger had a jacket on his lap and his hands were at his side. He appeared to be asleep. An intact bottle, possibly beer, was between his feet. A similar bottle, broken and with a foamy residue around it and liquid running from it, lay outside the driver's door. A portion of the passenger's buttocks was visible from the side, his jeans having been pulled down very low. Officer Sterling tried to wake him up by shouting at him and pounding on the window. The passenger was not responsive. He opened the driver's side door and tried to wake the passenger by shaking him, like at the shoulder. And after receiving no response, he went and opened the passenger side door, shook him again, and flashed the torch in his eyes with no response yet again. He checked for vital signs and detected no pulse or respirations. His pupils also did not respond to light, indicating that he was, in fact, deceased. It was noted that Randy's own fly was down, as well as that of Terry's, whose genitals were still exposed under that jacket and were described as wet. They believe, and get this, you know how they say don't drink and drive, kids?
Yeah.
Well, don't masturbate and drive, kids.
Ew.
That's another lesson. They believe the erratic driving was not from intoxication at all, but was due to Randy masturbating while driving at the same time.
Ew.
Terry Gambrell, however, was last seen alive on May 13th and was also a Marine. Fun fact, not so fun, 6 of the confirmed victims were United States Marines, but all of the victims were young white males. Randy Kraft was also known as the Freeway Killer, Southern California Strangler, and the Scorecard Killer. Each of his murders were actually kept on a scorecard for some insanely odd reason. So yeah, he kept literally an entire list of everything that he had done. I don't think he went into full detail on said list, but he kept names and little clues as to who they were. Now, you'll have to read the full transcript for the related counts to make sense, but in court, he was sentenced to death for counts 6, 7, 8, 9, 11, 12, 13, 14, 16, 18, and 19. It further imposed consecutive sentences of 25 years to life in state prison for counts 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, but stayed service of those sentences pending execution of the death sentence. The court also imposed the middle term of 3 years for the sodomy conviction in count 10, with a consecutive term of 3 years for the related great bodily injury enhancement, and the middle term of 4 years for the mayhem conviction in count 15, and stayed service of the determinate terms pending execution of the death sentence and service of the life sentences. That being said, he is believed to have committed the rape and murder of up to 51 other boys and young men. Randy Kraft, while charged in the 80s and put on death row, remains alive to this day.
Ew.
He is 76 years old.
Yuck.
Now, listen, there is so much more to this case. It was huge, and there's also mention of 2 possible accomplices that he may have had. So not even just one, so he may have done this in a group. So if anyone wants a follow-up case down the track covering that stuff, please let us know. And we, not you.
Yes, please.
Because honestly, there's probably another 1 or 2 episodes worth of information there, because it is just such a big case. And I will reluctantly do that for you, but you just need to drop us a line and let us know. But that, my little mung beans, wraps up part 2 of this disgusting, abhorrent, revolting monster. And I never, ever want to have to say his name again. Fascinating. Listen.
Crazy.
I found his case so fascinating because, again, he didn't actually have anything in his upbringing, maybe a slightly distant father, but he didn't have anything in his upbringing that would ever lead you to believe that he was capable of doing this.
Yeah, like the typical. And that's not just like a murder here and there, that's fucking extreme.
Yeah, he was crazy. But anyway, until next time.
Oh, thanks so much.
Cheers and gone. Bye.